The University of Pretoria is a multi-campus public research university. It is a university that aspires to be internationally competitive and nationally relevant. As a shining example, the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences has academic and research programs that are proven to consistently conform to the highest of international standards. The faculty has 4 fields of specialization and aims to continuously strengthen its position as a leading institution in these fields through its academic and research excellence. The faculty pledges social integration and is known to be technically well-rounded. But above all, the faculty strives to assure that the market value associated with its degrees will always be of a competitive benefit to its students. In a world that is becoming more competitive by the moment, it is essential that students not only gather the education and skills necessary to perform in the marketplace, they should also receive practical experience that places them in the optimal position to find and keep the right jobs. This is what the departments in the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences offer. It is the combination of real-world application by working closely with industry partners, along with the cutting-edge academic expertise of the top-rated and internationally recognized lecturers who have a great understanding of the expectations of global and local industries that make the difference. We strive to produce graduates that appreciate the importance of community, entrepreneurial endeavor, and innovative action. EMS graduates are a new generation of future thought leaders who will create jobs and make a positive impact nationally and internationally. Make today matter.
Hello, and a very warm welcome. We are looking for future scholars. This informational session is designed to give you information on our doctoral degree programs in human resource management, industrial organizational psychology, and organizational behavior in the Department of Human Resource Management at the University of Pretoria. First today, you'll hear from me, Professor Jenny Hubler, the doctoral programs manager, and then you'll hear from a National Research Foundation A-rated scholar, which means she's an international thought leader, who we are so happy teaches in this program that you'll hear about today. Her name is Professor Stella Nkomo. Then you'll hear from 2 current doctoral students, and finally, our head of department, Professor Alavane Nell. We will also be happy to field questions you may have at the end of the session. We feel we're doing something very special at the University of Pretoria. We've designed a program not for those who simply want to do a PhD to be able to list those credentials after their name, but rather for those who have a passion to become a scholar, and particularly to become an academic. Our program will teach you how to do high-quality research that makes a contribution to the body of knowledge in your field. It doesn't teach you how to get a promotion at your current job or how to become a consultant. We train researchers. And we do this a bit differently than most doctoral programs in South Africa. We are very proud of our world-class 1-year learning program students complete prior to selecting a topic and a supervisor. We are proud that our students are taught by national and international leaders in the field. For example, Professor Jim Walsh from the University of Michigan has taught in our program for 5 years. He's the past president of the International Academy of Management. Also, Professor Ashley Rosette from Duke University, also in the United States, teaches in our program. She's one of the most recognized up-and-coming scholars in the area of gender and race in organizations. In our program, you'll get valuable practice in academic thinking and writing, understanding and contributing to theory. Our philosophy is that you don't have to figure all of this out by yourself. We can guide you toward and through the up-to-the-minute readings and methods you'll need to be successful in an academic career. We want our students to leave our program as experts in their discipline. Our goal is for you to have many tools in your toolbox. This comes with theory, quantitative and qualitative research methods. We want you to have a wide research toolbox for your own future academic publications, as well as being able to supervise students in the future who may have wide research interests. Our goal is for you to have a finished proposal at the end of year one, after which you'll begin your original research. Our program length is 3 to 4 years. Now I'm proud to introduce you to Professor Stella Nkomo, who is joining us virtually today. She's a preeminent scholar globally in the area of gender and race in organizations. In fact, Prof. Stella is the top-rated scholar in our discipline in South Africa, according to the National Research Foundation. She's taught qualitative methods in our program for the past 6 years. Prof. Stella.
Good afternoon. It's so great to have so many of you here today thinking about pursuing a doctorate in human resource management. I just want to make 2 points about why you should consider our PhD learning program. Doctoral education differs significantly from that at the master's level. Its goal is to produce fully knowledgeable research scholars who can contribute new knowledge to their discipline. But here's the challenge for us here in South Africa and the rest of the continent. South African doctoral education, including management and business, was modeled on the classic British model of supervision that many other African countries also inherited at the end of colonialism. In this model, which we call the apprenticeship model, a doctoral degree is typically earned by research thesis under a single supervisor. And most importantly, there is no formal coursework. I believe this approach has 2 major downsides. First of all, it makes for a very lonely journey. It's also a self-study approach. You read on your own and you try to understand very complex, abstract knowledge. And you don't get a chance to engage in scholarly conversations with others about the knowledge in your discipline. So even though a PhD is in a discipline, for example, a PhD in human resource management, a PhD in org behavior, when you only deliver a thesis with no coursework, you literally can end up with a PhD in a topic and miss out on leaving your doctoral students with a broad understanding of the major theories and discipline methodologies in your discipline. I think it can make your doctoral degree have a very short shelf life. Why do I say that? If you pursue an academic career, you will be expected to teach not just on the topic of your thesis, but on many other subjects in your discipline. Additionally, you will be asked to supervise postgraduate students who may want to pursue topics other than the ones that you studied, or they may want to use a different methodology. So what we do at the University of Pretoria, we make sure that you leave here with a very broad understanding of the major theories and methodologies in your discipline. How do we do that? We do that through seminars. And these seminars may sound intimidating, but the feedback is always the same. Students find them stimulating. They find that there's an opportunity to discuss the theories and to develop their own understanding and insights into the body of knowledge of the discipline. I believe the other reason why you should consider our program is because of the state of knowledge in South Africa and Africa. You may not be aware, but the African continent currently only produces 2% of the global research output. This is a problem for us. Why? Because we're not generating knowledge and theories that will help us to deal with the challenges that we face in South Africa and what we face in the rest of the continent. So we need doctoral students to be educated, not only to make a contribution to problems and issues in South Africa and Africa, but to look at the discipline and ask, what can we add? What can we add to the base of knowledge from our experiences? And that's what our program allows you to do. You can only make a contribution globally if you fully understand the major theories and methodologies of the discipline. So if you choose our program, you will leave here with a PhD in your discipline, fully knowledgeable of the main theories and methodologies that underlie the discipline. It will be a foundation that will serve you well and throughout your scholarly career. So I hope you will give our program a close look, because it will give you the doctorate that can make for lifelong contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Stella. Inspirational words. If you're like me, you are excited about this program now, not only because of the opportunities it presents, but because of wonderful senior scholars like Prof. Stella. Now let's hear from some students. Kim Dowdswell is Head of Products and Research at Top Talent Solutions, and she's a third-year doctoral student pursuing her PhD in Industrial and Organizational Psychology. She has successfully defended her thesis proposal and is now collecting data. Her topic is servant leadership. Kim?
Thank you very much, Prof. Hubler, for the opportunity to share my experiences with potential candidates for the program. Off the bat, I would say that the last 3 years have probably been some of the most challenging, but also the most fulfilling and rewarding of my life. I think because my engagement with UP's doctoral program has really showed me where I want to be. This is actually my second attempt to pursue my PhD. Previously, after completing my master's and taking a bit of a break, I enrolled with UP. I defended a proposal after 2 years, but then I struggled to make further progress. At the time, I was juggling a high-pressure senior role as well as the SARPSA presidency, and then with the imminent arrival of my first child, I decided of everything I had going, I would place my studies on hold. But while I was still on maternity leave, I started hearing about UP's new program from my friend, who was part of the first cohort. And I later met Professor Hubler at a SARPSA event where she was sharing her work on women in leadership. And I thought, a year of reading articles and having in-depth critical discussions with professors and like-minded students really sounded amazing. And I knew that was how I wanted to pursue my PhD when I picked it up again. So fast forward 3 years later and another child, and I realized the time was right to return to my studies. I met with Prof. Hubler to have a realistic preview as well as current students, to understand the demands of the program and identify how best to set myself up for success in the program without completely neglecting my family. And as I've said, it's been very challenging. There have been some sacrifice, a lot of hard work, but ultimately so rewarding for the experiences and growth that I've had. Having enrolled in my PhD previously, I've experienced both approaches, as Prof. Stella was explaining. The one-on-one supervision model that's used by the majority of South African universities, as well as the cohort-based learning program UP has adopted. And there are definite benefits having gone through both to the current program. I think at the core, the learning program gives you a solid grounding in the influential theories and seminal works that guide our discipline. And the way in which the seminars are facilitated really demonstrates how theory helps you make sense of the world, and how using theory to build out your research premise helps focus your thinking and guide your approach. There are 3 other key benefits of UP's program that really stand out for me. And the first is, as Prof. Stella mentioned, while you still become a focused expert on your research topic, you also become a rounded scholar knowledgeable across a broad range of topics. This helps with just confidence as a doctoral student, but also combating feelings of imposterism. And since having completed the learning program, I've actually felt quite comfortable to ask critical questions in conferences, which is a change from the past. The second is that the learning program introduces you to topic areas in our discipline that you may not have been aware of before. And when you really dig into them and get your teeth into them during seminars, you may find some resonate with you, and that's what you want to focus on in your research. What I settled on for my final research topic looking into servant leadership is quite removed from my original thinking when I applied to the program, and it really is that extensive reading and the facilitated discussion that helped me formulate my thinking and refine my process. Finally, and I think a key difference that has made a major impact for me this time round is being part of a cohort of students and being on this journey together rather than just going it alone. Before embarking on the program, I think I underestimated how much or how important that social support would be. But it was hugely comforting to know when you're having a difficult time to share it with your cohort members, and they're immediately there. They understand the journey and the difficulties you're going through because they've either had it or having it or will have it. And they're really understanding because of that shared experience and made a huge difference. And to this day, 3 years on, the members of my cohort still chat regularly, and it's an amazing source of support. So in summary, is UP's program demanding? Yes. Is it rewarding? Also yes. Would I recommend it? If you're keen to become a scholar, you aren't afraid of hard work, choosing UP's doctoral program just might be one of the best decisions you can make. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Samuel Suela is a second-year doctoral student, also pursuing his PhD in industrial organizational psychology. He's studying men as gender justice champions in organizations. Sam is fresh from completing our learning program last year, and he's now going to tell you what it's like. Samuel.
Yeah, so I was probably like you at some point looking for a home to do a PhD. I'm not formally a UP student. I was coming from Stellenbosch where I did my master's. So I was attracted to the program with the 1-year learning program. I wasn't quite sure about what it's all about. At some point I felt like maybe it's taking away the time I could be using to invest in actually writing the proposal. So when I got into the program, it was really interesting, right? The seminars are quite impactful. I think they drive the learning program. So the seminars really, get you prepared. I heard Prof. Hubra talking about the toolbox. That's where you get your toolbox. Unfortunately, it's not a seminar where you come and sit and listen and get the tools, but it's a really intense reading, process. Prior to each seminar, you have to read a lot of articles, right? It's really an intense reading session. But the good thing is that the more you do it, the more you develop the muscle. And the other good thing is that the articles that you will be reading prior to the seminars are quite self-reinforcing. So they are full of new ideas that you have never met before. They challenge what you know. They give you something that you have never seen in any literature that you have read. So for myself, I had a lot of aha moments. Like I really enjoyed reading those articles because they were actually challenging what I know. They were actually broadening what I thought, I know. And in terms of the articles, it's not just articles based on a particular topic. It's a broad topic, and as Kim just mentioned, you get a broad overview of the knowledge, of the body of knowledge within the discipline. That's very important, especially if you are interested in being an academic, because at least you get a solid foundation to become an academic vis-a-vis probably specializing in a minor area where you focused on a PhD. Then you are told you have to teach a particular section of the course content, and you can struggle with that. But with this program, really, I found that the broad exposure to the body of knowledge was quite good, and also the strong theoretical exposure to understand how theory is used in research was quite important. During the seminars, you will discuss how theories are weaved into many articles. You understand how to weave a theoretical argument. For me, that was the first thing that I really liked, because these journals are coming from top journals, and you really read and understand how interesting those articles are. The only downside of it is that now you have to imitate on your proposal, and that's not something that is easy, but at least you have an overview of what a good proposal should look like. I think also in terms of the seminars, you have 2 seminars. So there's a group cohort seminar and a departmental seminar. So in the group cohort seminar, I remember we had qualitative research. I think Prof. Stella Nkomo took us through that. All I can say is that it was a wow, right? It was really interesting. I really, I wasn't really interested in qualitative research. I thought I was more quantitative, but the way it was presented actually, ignited an interest in me to say, you know what, qualitative research is not that bad. It's actually something I can try out, right? As well as, the quantitative sections, they were quite informative. You get to understand different, approaches to analyzing data. And I think the other important part is that you get a hands-on during the seminar. So I actually had to interact with Atlas TI for the first time. You get raw data, you analyze it during the seminars, and you are guided on how you analyze. And for me, that was important, because you normally read articles, but you read the output, you don't know the backside of it. So you would hear that these are the themes that were developed or emerged, but you don't know how they emerged. So having that practical experience really helped us a lot in terms of understanding. And also I think the most important part is that you have to understand that this is not a program where you can cut corners. If you have to read, then it means you have to read. So you have to be an avid reader to really survive in this program. I think the other part is also, the diversity that comes in. We are different students coming from different universities, exposed to different literature. So when we come in, we share a lot of ideas, and you realize that the discussions during the seminars become very lively and become very informative. And also, lastly, I think I would also talk about the opportunity that you are given as a PhD student to actually lead a discussion, an opportunity to lead a discussion about careers. And in that discussion, we had an opportunity to be graced by Prof. John Briscoe, who's an international scholar. And I think if you have read about Protein Career, you would have probably seen his name there. So it was one of the most memorable events for me to actually sit in a seminar and talk to one of the people that I never thought I could actually talk to. So it was really engaging. Right. My last probably point is if you really want to study a PhD program and you want a career in academia, I think you should seriously consider UP. I think it will strongly prepare you on your career forward, and I would really encourage people to think about UP as a home for doing their PhD. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel, and thank you, Kim. I'm sure students or potential students who are listening today are really grateful to hear your honest assessment of what the program has been like for you. Now I'd like to introduce you to the head of the Department of Human Resource Management, Professor Alavain Nell, who will tell you a little bit about our department so you can start to think about whether we might be a fit for your doctoral research interests.
Thank you so much, Professor Hoopler. So we already heard so much about the seminars, the PhD approach we follow in our department. In our department, we specialize in various fields within industrial psychology, human resource management, organizational behavior, and also labor relations. And at the University of Pretoria, we pride ourselves that our research is not only contemporary and locally relevant, but also internationally recognized. So it's important to make sure your research topic interest is of value, significance, and of such a substance that it will contribute and add new meaning to our subjects fields. You are committing to spend multiple years, up to 3 years, on a topic. Therefore, choosing the right topic and the institution is quite important, since investing time on a project that does not ignite an intense passion and commitment may let those years feel much, much longer. So choosing a supervisor is also quite important. Since you will partake in a multi-year journey for professional development and also personal development, which require continuous and long-standing commitment for both you and your supervisor. Our department consists of various research leaders in their field. We are currently boasting with 7 NRF-rated researchers. 2 of them are internationally recognized for their research in the department. You already heard from Prof. Stella Nakoma, but also Professor Jenny Hoopler, who's the program manager. He is a B-rated researcher and a leader in the field of women work and leadership. Our focus is to investigate meaningful topics within overall organizational behavior, but specializing especially in certain types of subject fields. We do a lot of research on work-life balance, subjective career success, decent work, talent acquisition, leadership, not only overall leadership, but mostly focusing on women leadership, equality leadership, and also abusive leadership or bad bosses. Professional work identity is also formed as part of our subject fields that we investigate. We have researchers on psychological ownership, and we focus on labor law and employee relations within the sphere of the organization. With COVID-19, obviously, all of these elements are brought into those research topics as well. With COVID-19, we're especially interested in sustaining psychological health during prolonged disruptive periods, so there's quite a bit of researchers also working on that as well. We have many psychological assessment experts in our department, focusing mostly on the cross-cultural applications of assessments and making sure assessments we are utilizing are fair to use across different demographics. We are interested in gender and diversity aspects, not only focusing on the acculturation of various social identities in the workplace, but also focusing on the impacts of personality, social disability, and cultural norms across different ethno-cultural groups on organizations and also in the society overall. So I think from our side also, we also very focused on to develop inclusive environments. So we look at different aspects in order to sustain inclusive environments in the organization to make sure all employees can flourish. Other than the organization, we also have researchers focusing on students and also student well-being. If some of these topics from what you heard are of interest for you, then our department is the best place to investigate your topic of interest. Thank you for your interest in our program. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. As you can see, we're really proud of what we've created in our department at the University of Pretoria. Our goal is to become the place on the continent to do your PhD in people management. If you're serious about doing your PhD, have a genuine intellectual curiosity, and you're not afraid of hard work, we're very much interested in seeing your application. The kind of student we look for is one who has earned a master's degree and has done very well in their studies thus far. Applicants must have earned a 65% or higher in your master's studies to be considered. And if you're interested in our IO Psychology PhD program, you must have a master's degree in an HPCSA accredited IOP master's program. But for the other degrees, your 65% for your master's could be in any relevant discipline. We've even had engineers who have been very successful in our OB, organizational behavior, that is, PhD program. As well, the kind of student we're interested in is one who loves to learn and is energized by the idea of making social science research discoveries, is excited to teach, mentor, and supervise students, and overall wants to share his or her knowledge. The closing date for all applications is 30 August. Please note you have to apply to the University of Pretoria, but you also have to follow the departmental application procedures found on our website. It will soon appear on the screen, but you can always go to the University of Pretoria website, search on Department of Human Resource Management, and go to postgraduate programs. The applications are there. We have an extensive selection process designed to ensure you're a good fit with us and we're a good fit with you. This usually takes place in September or October and consists of some standardized testing, an essay analysis you'll write in real time, and an interview with some of our department staff. We usually admit 5 students who begin study in February of the following year. So if you're serious about stretching yourself to do a PhD, and what we think is the very best way to do so, we'd love to consider your application for 2022 or in the future. Now we're happy to field any questions that you may have. Okay, so I think that we have a question. The first one is, do you provide any sorts of bursaries for students? And that's a good question that a lot of you are probably wondering about. In regular non-pandemic years, the university, at the university level, often provides bursaries to doctoral students who are making good progress in their second year of studies. The other resource that I would make sure I would want to point you to is that the university on our website has a good area for postgraduate student bursaries and scholarships. A lot of those are from industry. Some of those are from the government. The National Research Foundation is another area that you might look into to try to fund your doctoral studies. Okay, we have another question. One is, how many classes does one have to attend? Is it 1 week per quarter like in the master's? I think the short answer to that is no, but maybe Samuel, would you mind addressing that for this person?
Right, so it will be, I think if you enroll for this program, mostly your weekends are gone. So your Friday you'll be attending, Saturday you'll be attending. And also it's not just the attendance that really matters. It's also continuous reading of articles, because you have to prepare for the seminars before you attend. So I would say it's a continuous process, but the formal days where you attend will be weekends. Roughly, it could be 2 to 3 weeks a month or 2 weeks in a month.
Yeah, thanks for that, Samuel. That's correct. And so we usually have classes on Fridays and Saturdays, and we usually tell students that they should plan to be in Pretoria for those sessions about 15 to 17 weekends for the first year, just for that learning program year. Thereafter, they'll be working more individually with their supervisor. Is there another question? Okay. This question is, what makes for a good master's paper to get into the PhD course? Well, one thing that we like to do is to give people sort of the chance to start over at the doctoral level. Perhaps you didn't exactly love the topic that you studied for your master's program. Maybe you don't want to continue it with it. Also, we have a pretty strong feeling that the paper that you probably wrote for your master's program may not have made an original contribution to the literature. It may not have been based in theory. So we don't require you to submit your master's work upon application to our program. We ask for a writing sample, but what we hope is that you will enter our program really open to new topics that you might not know about. Perhaps, like Kim mentioned, you'll fall in love with a new subject and your thesis will focus on work that you didn't do at a master's level. The next question is, would someone who is working full-time be able to complete this degree if they just submit leave for the contact sessions? Kim, do you mind addressing that one for us, please?
Certainly. Yeah, it is possible. As I said, it's quite challenging, and also as Samuel mentioned, there's a lot of reading and prep work and thinking work that you need to do. But as the sessions are around 15 to 17 weeks of the first year, it is possible to just work around doing the reading prep around your working hours, and then just negotiating with your company or your employer around that time off. In my cohort year, most of our employers were quite supportive of us pursuing our PhD, and it was a combination of study leave as well as annual leave that led to sufficient time to be completing or to be attending the contact sessions, but then also doing the prep work. But it does sometimes mean some early mornings or late evenings, but it is entirely possible.
Thanks. Following on to that, Prof. Nell, would you say that most of our students are working full-time?
Yes, I think most of our students who applies are in a permanent position. And then obviously that is quite a bit of a challenge. As I said, it is usually a 3-year commitment, a multi-year commitment. So the thing is you have to understand all those demands, like Kim already mentioned. She understood our own situation, is she ready for a PhD? And when she felt ready, even if she has a young family, has a job and everything, she took the leap and she came into our program. So the thing is you have to make sure you understand your circumstances and make sure you have a strong commitment in making this work. Because if you start in the program, we want you to be successful. So you have to know how to balance your work time and also your study time. So it's going to take a lot of effort. The first year is a learning program. You're going to read a lot of material, a lot of articles. You're going to attend seminars. Obviously, you have to understand already beforehand how you're going to balance that with your job and also your other responsibilities. So it's possible, you can do it. And if you want to do it full-time, great for you. We have sometimes fellowships in the department. So you can also apply for a fellowship. Then you're in the department, you're going to teach a module, you're going to supervise students and so forth if you want to take that route as well.
Thanks for that information. Maybe also for Prof. Nell, one of our viewers says, I only have an honors degree but I do have 25 years of experience in human resource management. Will I be eligible to register for this program? What would you say to that?
I think at that moment it will not be possible. The thing is we don't look at prior experience as part of your academic training. So we rather look at your academic stance until you apply for our program, and then you are eligible. So unfortunately, you have to go through quite an academic program in postgraduate qualifications and experience before you can apply for our program.
Thanks for that. Another question is, do we offer these courses online? Well, we have in the past 2 years, not really due to our own preference, but due to necessity, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Normally, most of the classes are in person because we really feel like that's probably the best environment in which to learn. Like Samuel mentioned, a lot of the methods classes are hands-on, and we want to be there to support you through that. Also, most of the seminars are discussion-based. And if a lot of you have probably been doing your work over Zoom during the past 2 years, you probably realize that the quality of the discussion face-to-face is often much richer. And so we prefer to have you come to the University of Pretoria. However, out of necessity, some of the courses may be continuing online in the near future. So another question, maybe Prof. Stella could take this one, is what's the difference between our program compared to the usual normal way of studying? Prof?
Okay, sure. I think I made those points. I'll just reiterate. You know, I was trained in the U.S., so I had the luxury of doing a full-time program and coursework. I think the difference is the breadth and the depth. So the advantage of the way that we approach it, we build the foundation in the first year. And that foundation learning program, as both Sam and Kim have said, it changes the way you think. In order to be a research scholar, you have to make a shift in your own understanding about what you're about to embark upon. You know, as I said, a master's is a proficiency in application, but I didn't understand that in the beginning. So that what makes it so different is that if you're in a one-on-one supervisory program or getting your degree only by thesis, you don't really fully shift to that mindset of having a broad understanding of your discipline. So we put down a solid foundation that has lasting effect on whatever you do after that, whether you teach or you join a think tank. To me, the analogy would be how critical the foundation is to the homes that you live in. If you have a poor foundation, that house will not be secure. It will create problems. So the difference is the foundation that you get and the exposure to the body of knowledge in your discipline. You just don't know one theory. You know the seminal, the most important foundations. As Prof. Hubler said, you have the flexibility to use the right methodology depending on the research question and the contribution that you wish to make. I think it just gives you more agility and the ability to think more broadly. That is the difference.
Thanks for that, Prof. Stella. Wise words. I think the final question that we have is, how do I identify the knowledge gap for my study and draft a research problem? Well, I think that really follows along from what Prof. Stella was just saying, is that if you've done that sounds like a student maybe who did the one study, one student, one supervisor model perhaps in the past, where they were sort of maybe not getting as much support as they had desired, maybe sitting at home, Googling, trying to figure out exactly what they were going to study. We want to give you a foundation where we help you discover a gap in the literature, one that's likely to make a contribution to the body of knowledge, but also I think, especially from that one-year learning program, you're going to begin to understand and see the gaps in the literature and be able to judge whether your research topic can possibly make a theoretical contribution to knowledge. And if what I'm saying sounds very foreign to you, it sounds very much like academic speak, that probably is an indication to you that to sort of participate in doctoral level of study, you need to be familiar with our nomenclature, with the concepts that we use, and with what's required to do doctoral level work. And again, I think this is where our program can really help you get to the level that you need to be able to effectively do your own original research. So let's see. I think we're going to actually conclude it from there. I just want to thank Professor Stella Nkomo for being with us today virtually from her home. I want to thank my panelists, Prof. Nell, and my wonderful doctoral students who I'm so proud of for joining us today. And I want to thank you, viewers, for joining us. And we really hope that we will see your applications for 2022 or beyond.